Folks at home, welcome back to the Crimson Oak Pond, home of these aggressive tiger bass, as well as a variety of other wildlife that have made this farm their home, including this pair of bald eagles. They arrived shortly after we built the pond, and if you're new to the channel, a little over a year ago we built this Eagle Tower platform, and it's about 45 feet tall and has a 6x6 base. And it was a little bit tricky getting it in the upright position, but with the right equipment we got it installed. And we got a big thank you from the eagles, and they immediately started using it, mostly as their fishing tower. And once they realized we had an abundance of rainbow trout in the pond, they wanted to make this area their new home. And as they started collecting nesting materials, we quickly realized the platform could use some improvements. For instance, you can see some of that nesting material was falling through the cracks. And we also didn't have any side panels to keep the wind from blowing the straw and sticks off the platform. And I say it all the time, I think I have one of the best subscriber bases out there. And I had an eagle expert named Connor reach out. And Connor's a wildlife biologist that has built several successful eagle nest platforms. So let's listen to a couple modifications he suggested for our platform.
So I would build some additional perching that is in camera view here and here. I wouldn't put any perching to the right of the cam because you want to be able to see it still. And if you cut that down here, if you do get birds to come down in there, they're 100% going to eat your cable. They are so mischievous.
So a big shout out to Connor. He made about a 30-minute video and was very detailed on exactly what we needed to do. And that included adding the side rails, covering the cracks in the bottom, covering our Ethernet cable and flex conduit, installing lightning protection, modifying our existing perch, and adding new perches, as well as several other tips on how to get the nest started for the eagles. He also said that we needed to paint both of our white cameras brown and make everything have that natural wooden look where nothing stands out. So now that we've got the detailed playbook and nesting season is approaching, it's time to get to work. And since this eagle tower is about 45 feet tall, the first thing we had to do is rent a boom lift, and we can't work on any of these outdoor projects without my right-hand man, Nate Makes. Alright, here's the eagle's view. It's a pretty good one. So we got started by installing some plywood on the base to help fill in those cracks. And hey, look at there, we got the bluegill feeder going off. This is the exact view the eagles see from up here on their perch. And after we got the plywood buttoned down, the next thing we did is drill several holes to help that rainwater drain and not collect up here on the platform. And I decided to go with a chestnut stain on all this fresh pine to give it that natural dark look. And we got the Ethernet covered up with flex conduit. Connor said the eaglets will 1000% chew through any wires. And the video probably doesn't do it justice, but we're pretty high up here. Just high enough to give you the shaky legs. And we decided the easiest way to paint the cameras was to use spray paint. So we covered up the lens with plastic and tape, and then applied a light coat of brown spray paint. We also painted the gray flex conduit brown to make it blend in a little better. And next up was painting the big dome camera. And the overall goal here is to have a live stream of the eagle nest once the eagles move in and hopefully hatch some little eaglets. How cool is that going to be? Next up, it was time to add some side panels. And we went with 2x6 boards stained with the chestnut. And we also used several 2x6s placed vertically to help lock in those side panels. And keep in mind, we do have a lot of hurricanes. So the plan was to go a little extra on all of the bracing and to make this thing solid. Alright, we got the platform finished. Cameras painted. Now it's time to build a nest. Alright, back here in the swamp, I'm going to grab some nesting materials, and I think this is the perfect tree right here that fell down. You can see it's got a bunch of long skinny branches, and that's exactly what we need to kind of weave in and out and then stuff that straw down in. A big pile of vines right there. Stuff like that may also work really good. So basically using the same resources that an eagle would use. So we couldn't both fit on the lift with the nesting materials. So I made several trips down into the swamp to gather the materials while Nate was building the nest. And now we're here at the fun part. So obviously an eagle nest needs to be as big as possible, and you want to start out by weaving some of the sticks in and out. But Connor said one of the most important things about fabricating a nest for the eagles is don't screw anything down or nail anything in. So eagles are very picky when it comes to their nest, and if you had a piece of wood screwed into the platform, they could exhaust themselves by tugging at it and trying to get it into the exact place they wanted. I think Nate's doing a fine job. It looks like he's been building eagle nest his whole life. But as you can see, as he's weaving the sticks in and out, he's creating a circular pattern, and obviously the eagles are going to lay the eggs in the center of the nest, so it needs to be made out of a different material that's much softer. And as Connor mentioned, you really just want to get something started for them. They're going to come in and make it their home and make any modifications that they prefer. But the better you build it, the higher percentage of a chance you'll have of them coming in. And he said it's almost certain that if an eagle didn't occupy it this season, that an osprey or an owl would take over. So we could even see Hooter and Al Capone up here. I also like the sound of some baby owls. And another reason we wanted to make it bulletproof is because once you have an active eagle nest, I wouldn't be able to touch or make any modifications to this tower. So if they chewed through the Ethernet cable or the cameras went out of commission, I would have to wait until the eaglets flew the coop before I could make any repairs. Alright, Nate finished up the perimeter of the nest. The last step is to add some pine straw and create a nice bowl shape with a soft bottom. And at this point, I love the way this is coming together. There's a little view from inside the nest so you can gauge how deep it is. Looks pretty comfortable to me. Now his next recommendation was to add some additional perching options and also cut down one of the existing perches we have. This guy right here where you can see those claw marks. But the reason he wanted to cut it down is because the eagle stands about 2 feet tall. And so anytime the eagles are on the platform or in the nest, they should always be in camera view. Which was pretty good advice because there was a lot of times our eagles were on the perch and we couldn't see them. So we built them 3 additional perches that are now all within camera view. So a big shout out to Connor and Nate for helping make this happen. I give it a 10 out of 10. You guys leave me a comment down below. Let us know how you think we did and whether or not you think the eagles are going to fly in and use it. Nate loves to fish, so it was killing him to hear all the bass busting in the pond back behind us while we were working. And at the end of the day, he brought his fishing rod up in the lift, and he said if he had to listen to one more bass bust, he was going to have to break down and catch him. And this may be a first. I can't say I've ever seen someone fishing out of a lift before.
No way! Did you see that explosion? I just stopped to look up there at him, the very first cast. Wow! Oh my God! He's sight fishing. Coming down, baby. Got him a good one. Alright, let's see what you got.
There we go.
571506.
That's crazy.
That's over 2 pounds right there from the lift.
That's crazy, dude.
And this fish is named Maximus, and it's been over a year since we caught it. So Nate may be onto something with the sight fishing from the lift.
Well, boys, I may have lost my help for today. Now that he knows they're biting topwater, it's over. He's going to extend that lift and see how far he can get out and cast to the juicy spots. He can cast halfway across the pond.
Alright, about 30 minutes after we completed the nest, our first sighting of an eagle. Let's see what he does. Oh, he did the flyover inspection. And while we were building it, we also had a new eagle stop by. And this is one we've never seen before. So last year we had a juvenile hanging around the pond most of the year. And this looks like a brand new juvenile that still hasn't developed that white head yet. So that's a good sign that the eagles nested somewhere nearby last year. And look here, we got some curious eagles on our hands. They flew in to inspect it. They're hanging out on the wood line just on the back side of the pond, perched up there high in a tree. Probably looking around to see if other eagles have moved in or if the nest is free for the taking. Now let's check in on our other pond, Cedar Falls. And with winter slowly approaching, we've only got a little bit longer to enjoy these tropical lilies. But the water's nice and clear, and there's a good view of all the bass, starting out with Tiger on the bottom, Johnny and June in the middle, and our youngest bass, Eve, right there at the top. And either the bass have been active again with a fall spawn, or we've had a successful golden shiner spawn, because if you pay close attention in that shallow water, you'll see a bunch of fry swimming around. But we're getting some pretty incredible growth rates from all the bass in the pond, and we'll talk more about that here in just a minute. But these fish are tired of waiting around on me, and they're ready for some feeding action. So we work as a team. They all huddle up right here around the base of the waterfall, and then I spook all the golden shiners out of the shallow water, and they ambush them. And the main reason the largemouth bass is so popular is because of their incredible aggression when it comes to feeding. You can see these guys beaching themselves out of the water on the rocks while they're chasing after the shiners. So today, I decided it was time to get an underwater, up-close look at one of these feedings. And let's sit back and enjoy some action. Man, that was incredible. And since all the golden shiners like to hang out right at the base of the waterfall, that's also where this little guy, Jake the Snake, likes to hang out. Look at him. He thinks he's hiding his little head back there behind the rock, but I can still see you. But he's just a water snake, and man, I would love to get some underwater shots of him eating. We all know that dogs are a man's best friend, so today we're on a mission to help you feed your pup top quality, healthy food. Sundays for Dogs is a fresh dog food made from a short list of ingredients, including 90% meat, 10% vegetables, and 0% synthetic nutrients. And today we have Nate's dog, Mr. Knox, out here with us, enjoying a nice meal out here by Cedar Falls. It's the beef flavor, and it looks and smells just like beef jerky. And since Sundays puts all their dog food through an air drying process to preserve the flavor and nutrition, it doesn't require refrigeration or preparation, just pour and serve. And I know that many of you have picky pups when it comes to food, but every dog I've seen try it has loved it. It's made with high quality ingredients like beef, chicken, turkey, pumpkin, and premium fish oils, so it's full of flavor. They've also designed the bag with a Velcro seal that makes it very easy to store away and keeps it fresh. And Sundays was founded and ran by a veterinarian that spent years getting the recipe dialed in, and they ship it directly to your door. So if you're interested in trying them out, go to sundaysfordogs.com/BamaBass and you can get 50% off your first order. So go check out Sundays for Dogs, and let's keep them pups happy and healthy, folks. Alright, so here's the bird's eye view from our Eagle Nest Cam that we hope to be live streaming soon. And I'll just say this, if you want to attract some birds, put a nest 45 feet in the air, and you'll have every bird in the neighborhood stop by. First off, we had some little bluebirds, and next up is one of my favorite, the kingfisher. He's enjoying the new perch options, and I've only seen one kingfisher. I've never seen two out here at a time, so I'm not sure how they nest. Got another little bird hopped up beside him. We got room for all the little guys now. And the bluebirds flew back in to inspect it, and they were definitely around the longest. That would be funny to see such a tiny bird lay eggs in such a big nest. But the eagles better move in soon, because there are a lot of other interested parties. And this is one of those unique birds that have the weird pattern on the back of their head. We saw it a lot last winter. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think this may be a hawk. You guys feel free to identify the birds in the comments down below. Now that's a cool shot, the kingfisher enjoying the sunset. It really is the best view on the property up here. And we had one other little guy fly down into the nest. And I knew the crows would show up. They're nosy and they get into everything. And hey, we got another pair of birds. But this is also a good durability test today. The winds are going to be blowing up to 20 miles an hour. So at first glance, it looks like everything's holding together. So I got a question for you guys. Even if the eagles didn't fly in right away, do you think there's enough activity to go ahead and live stream it for you guys? So let me know down below, yes, I'd watch the live stream, or no, I'd rather just wait on the eagles. And if enough of you are interested, we may go ahead and get it up and running. And another sighting of the eagles out here fishing, so it's only a matter of time before they inspect the new nest. So during the spring, everything comes to life and this pond is beautiful, but I'll have to say the fall has its perks too. Check out these vibrant colors with the purple grasses. Man, that really gives this pond a nice touch that just showed up this past week when we had a little cold front move through. But here's a little shot of the wetland filter waterfall. And you all know who lives up here in this body of water. And that's our tiny bass that we've been raising since he was a fry. named Truman. He's an aggressive little guy, and since the shiners can't swim up the waterfall, I have to bring him a few each day. But he cracks me up. So now that the water temp is dropping, I was trying to get all of the prawns out of the wetland filter and put them down there in the main pond because they can't survive those colder temps. And I try to attract them in by putting out ham, but every time I do, Truman eats the ham. At first I thought he was just being aggressive and playing around with it. But folks, you can add that one to your list. You finally seen a bass that eats ham. He actually enjoys it. The only thing he does is try to rip it into smaller pieces, and then he actually eats it. And most of the time it's before the prawns even know that it's here. Hey, there you go. One of the prawns finally showed up to the party and got the last piece of ham that was left. But it's funny that these guys can even coexist. If the bass was about 1 pound bigger, he would eat the prawn, and if Truman was about 2 inches smaller, the prawn could eat him. And prawns are actually really good at capturing small fish and minnows. And just like the tiger bass, they are very aggressive eaters. And you can see we got a little back and forth action. The prawn defending the last piece of ham by sticking out the pincher. And this little body of water is always fun to watch. You never know what you're going to see when you put a camera down here. Ah, look at there. Truman got the full belly. Now he's sitting on the bottom. That's one of the things bass do to conserve energy during the cooler months. So now let's put a camera underwater in Cedar Falls and check in on the rest of the crew. Got one of the tilapia here, and man, they do have some nice looking patterns. 100% happy with the decision to put them in. They've kept the pond clean. And if these guys don't survive the winter, I'll be doing it again next year. But back to the growth rates of the tiger bass in this pond. You guys know that we've had the backyard pond, and I've been feeding the bass like Bonnie and Clyde and Moby in it for years. And while they do grow and get bigger, they don't have exponential growth rates like the bass in this pond do. And I think there's one main factor that contributes to that, and that's the size of this pond. So it's significantly bigger than the backyard pond, coming in at around 30,000 gallons. So all the fish have different habitats and places to hide and get away from each other. But anytime you put a fish in an aquarium or a small body of water, the fish naturally slows down its growth rate to keep from outgrowing the body of water it's living in. So I think this pond is big enough that we can get the full potential out of these guys. And with a heavy dose of golden shiners, we may grow these guys to a 7, 8, or even 10 pounder. How cool would that be? And also by having a successful bass spawn this spring, that's another indicator that the volume of water is sufficient for new life. And speaking of new life, two of my favorite little guys are Dasher and Dancer, the twin fawns that were born about 2 months ago. Man, I love watching these guys. They got a lot of spunk in them, intrigued by everything. But the best part is that the mama doe and this pair are out at all hours of the day. So I pretty much get to see them every day. Especially if you put out a little food for them, they're going to show up. So I had to set up the night lapse because we had the Hunter's Moon coming up. And if you guys aren't familiar with it, it follows the harvest moon in the fall. And this particular Hunter's Moon was a supermoon, and that just basically means that the moon is closest to the Earth, which makes it appear much bigger and brighter. But the reason they call it the Hunter's Moon is because it symbolizes that time of year when all the hunter-gatherers used to have to go out and collect meat and food to help them prepare for the winter. And if you pay close attention, you'll probably see a blue heron walking by, some airplanes and shooting stars, and you'll even notice the light on our volcano pump. We've cut it back from running it 24/7, and we're just running it at night now when there's the highest chance of depleted oxygen. Gotta love those night lapses. And we got a pretty cool shot of the sunrise coming up this morning. A lot of cloud cover, which means those bass are probably going to be a little extra hungry today. Alright, now one of the last things we're going to do is haul some more red dirt in here, spread it out, make a nice little slope. You can see all that rain we got is already starting to erode out. So we're going to put a slope here and then put 2 concrete ramps because we're going to have 2 big garage bay doors right there. Then probably add some topsoil on top of it, maybe a little sod or grass seed. Slab. Door right here where the crack is. Another slab. Alright, the concrete truck made it back, pouring the last 2 ramps. Getting everything leveled out. Making easy work of it. Alright, the concrete guys are done for today, so we decided to work on the irrigation. Alright, a quick update on the shop. We got the 2 ramps poured. You're going to be able to pull in on that side and drive straight through. We also just got the irrigation installed. All of this will be sod everywhere you see dirt. So we got those sprinkler heads in to water the sod. That'll be coming next. So now let's take a look at this new bloom that popped up in the pond that had me a little worried. And no, this is not mud. We hadn't had rain in days before this. But I talked to the pond biologist, and he thinks it's a form of euglena, which is a form of an algae bloom, and some of them can be toxic, while others aren't that big of a problem at all. But the interesting thing about euglena is that it can change colors almost instantly based on the light. So a few weeks ago, we had a really green looking color, and then it changed to this dark red or brown. So it's something I'm going to be keeping an eye on. Let me know if any of you guys have seen it or had something similar happen. But their recommendation was to turn the well on to dilute it a little bit, as well as keep that volcano pump running. So that's our plan. And here's a good look at it from the overhead view. It's only in maybe 20 to 25% of the pond right now, but it does get blown around with the wind. Now it's time for one of my favorite things, and that's feeding these golden shiners to the bass right here off the dock. And just like with the hunter's moon, we're trying to fatten these guys up for the winter. But I'll probably cut back on it a little bit as it starts getting colder, because the one thing that the drop in water temperature is going to do is make all the tilapia, even those babies, really sluggish. They start swimming really slow, and they're easy snacks. And these tiger bass are going to go through and just gorge on them like they did last November. And that's when we saw some of our record weights. And all of the bass in the pond put on their heaviest weights between November and February last year, and a lot of that was due to the tilapia. We also had a lot of you asking about the rainbow trout. Every now and again I'll see one jump up out of the water, but they're not near as abundant as they were several months ago. And I suspect that the ones that survived got down deep during the summer and were hanging out in those deep holes. But the interesting thing is I didn't see any trout floating on the surface of the water. So maybe their body makeup is different, because with the tilapia last year, the ones that didn't survive, they would float up to the surface and I'd scoop them out. So my guess is there's still a small population of the rainbow trout, and as the water gets cooler this winter time, we should see them move back up to the feeders and start becoming active again. But I probably won't stock the rainbow trout again. I didn't realize how aggressive they were, and the big impact they would have on eating a lot of our bait fish. So we basically had to restock the pond with a bunch of bait fish this year that they wiped out. So don't want any competitors in here with the largemouths. We'll probably just keep the ones we got. Alright, here's exactly what you don't want to have happen. Save the oak tree from the caterpillars and have the bucks come through and rub it and potentially kill it. So we're going to put our protective covers on and prevent that from happening, because the bucks cannot resist. Got them all put on. That's a job when you factor in how many trees we planted out here. Alright, beautiful afternoon. Fish should be biting. Let's catch a few and see how big they've gotten. Topwater frog and swim bait for the fall patterns. Got him. Nice one. Come on in here, buddy. That's a good one. Alright, this is a second gen bass that has not been caught. Its new tag is 2232853. And it weighs 1.76. Got it. Good one. Looks like a healthy fish. Yep. Alright, this fish has been caught. 571380, 1.56. And this fish is named Karen. She actually lost a little bit of weight over the winter, but has rebounded and recovered. Got it on while it was falling down. Wow. Feels like a nice one. Don't get in that tree. Oh no. Man, he just went all around those trees. Oh yeah. Look at the schooling bass right behind him. He's waiting for it when he hit the bottom. Alright, he's been caught. 569984. He weighs 1.06.
7-8.
And hey, check it out, it's Greg the Pond Guy's fish that he named Pond Guy. He caught it almost 1 year ago, back during the pond build, and this fish also lost a little bit of weight, probably due to that reduced number of thread fins caused by the rainbow trout. But they all seem to be recovering in weight. That's good news.
There we go. These fish are finicky, but when you find the pattern and what they're eating and where they're schooled up, man, you can catch them quick. They're all bundled up right there. Hit it about as soon as it hits the water. They're eating the swim bait good. Nice one. All right, another second gen bass that hadn't been caught. This fish is 1.74 pounds. And his new tag is 2234087. Whoa! Big one right here at the bank. Hope you guys could see that. Biggest one of the day. I mean, snagged it right here. Literally as I was pulling it in. All right, this one is 570194. And it weighs 2.44 pounds.
And this is Xavier, and the 4th time we caught him. He likes frogs and swim baits.
Got it. I don't know if you guys could see that because of the sun, but hooked him right over there by the fountain. It's pumping water in it, maybe a little warmer than this water. That little guy was hanging out in the warm water. Alright, he's been caught, 570827. And he weighs 1.78 pounds.
And this fish is Unit, and the 4th time we caught him, and he will pretty much eat anything. Got my little buddy Oliver out here chumming the water for us. He wanted to catch a bluegill and get an up-close look at it. But he's not quite sure what to make of it just yet. Now let's check in on the Squirrel House, and I'm happy to say that the 2 squirrels that we call Chip and Dale are finally using the house. And they come in like a wrecking ball. They were really shy for the first few months after putting it in. I'm thinking that turf we put out on the front lawn may have thrown them off a little bit, but now that the leaves have fallen on it, and all the smells are gone, and the house looks more natural like something out in the woods, they're popping in it every day. I also think that this is the time of year that they're looking to build the shelters that are going to last them through the winter, and I wouldn't be surprised if one of them hunkers down in here once things get cold. But whatever animal decides to do it, they're probably going to always have some visitors. We got little birdies that pop in from time to time, and we've always got the oversized raccoon that peeks his head in, wishing that we would have built it a little bit bigger for him, but no raccoons allowed in this one.
As you all know, we got a lot of mouths to feed with all the deer and other wildlife out here at the farm, so we're going to be planting our winter crops, going with a couple different varieties. This one is Dixie 6, wheat, oats, rye, peas, rape, and clover. And this is the Tecumseh Max Attract, which is cereal grain, peas, clovers, vetch, and chicory. But you can also see I've planted a little small strip of sorghum down through here, and we're about to hit that with fertilizer. Some of that's going to get up to 4 or 5 feet tall, but a lot of the deer activity happens right around that corner. So over the next month, this will grow up and provide some natural cover, because as you all know, the deer don't like it whenever they're in wide open spaces. So this one little strip will provide some privacy for them.
And here's a good look at that seed mix. Getting it all spread out. And then covering it up with just a little bit of dirt. Winter crops coming soon. Today we got a combination of soybeans and corn. It's funny, you can see the personalities coming out of them, even on something like feeding deer. Sarah likes to plant the soybeans and corn and try to grow more, and Oliver just likes to sling it up in the air. But hey, look who it is, the old floppy-eared deer. Every time you see it, both of the ears are going to be peeled back. There's another good look at one of the babies. And even the bucks are starting to come out during daylight, which can be rare this time of year. But most of them are losing their velvet or either have lost it already. I think that's what you see on the spike is a little bit of velvet left. And there's Deuce, the double main beam buck right behind him. So if you made it this far in the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button to follow along and see if the eagles take over the nesting site and keep up with all our pond builds and aggressive bass. But I hope you all enjoyed this video, and we will see you all next time.